I do hail from Riata Pass, which is in the county of San Saba, being the which why the San Saba songbird is my sobriquet of preference.
When I see a cowboy, that's what I want to hear. That exact accent.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
But is it real? Or is it another portrayal created by Hollywood that has nothing to do with reality? Let's find out, partner. So did cowboys really have American accents? Most Western movies are set in the mid to late 19th century. But during that time, the so-called West was home to a large number of Europeans and other immigrants. And even if we only look at the settlers from Britain, we know that there are many different dialects in the UK, which would create differences.
Oh, you want some? Huh? You want some?
So does that mean the cowboys should sound more like Colin Firth than Clint Eastwood?
My feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you.
You may run the risks, my friend, but I do the cutting.
Director John Ford introduced audiences to his vision of Western life in movies like 1939's Stagecoach starring John Wayne.
Look, Miss Dallas, you got no folks. Neither have I, and well...
1956 Deserters, and many more.
Stand aside, Martin.
No, you don't, Ethan. Ethan, no, you don't!
And over time, the movies made the cowboy accent very distinct.
Maybe you can tell me, sir, how it happens that them there horses grazing yonder all got my brand on them.
But most people agree that this is fiction, especially the so-called Old West accent.
You know what I say?
What's that?
I say that big talk's worth doodly squat.
In this video on actual Old West accents, we can hear very early recordings of people who actually lived there.
I don't exactly call it work. You know what work is? You don't. Why, work's doing something you have to do. When you're doing something that you want to do, like to do.
So my immediate question was, if the Wild West was in a Western states, why do cowboys default to Southern accents? Now, thankfully, I'm not the only one asking these burning questions. And according to various sources, after the Civil War, many people from the South settled in the West to look for better life and work. So this could have been the inspiration behind modern Western movies. But there definitely was more variety in reality, which, to be fair, some movies portray.
I haven't had a drink of whiskey or slept in the bed in 10 days. Give me a bottle.
Settlers and cowboys came from all over America, Spanish territories, and Europe. Some couldn't speak English at all, and not all of them were white either.
The first cowboys in the New World were, of course, Spanish and later Mexican vaqueros.
But to me, when I think of modern depictions of cowboys, I immediately think of this kind of accent.
No rights in the prisons, Judge Harvey.
What did some bitch do?
Sir,
Hold your tongue. Some bitch is a stock rustler.
Alleged.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sir, I never...
Hold your tongue. He's caught driving Russell beef.
Good enough, honey.
Southern American English is a regional dialect, or rather a collection of dialects that people speak across the southern United States. It's definitely the most distinctive American accent, at least to me, a foreigner, and it doesn't only fit the cowboy speak.
Sure, why not? And after the sun's down, we can all pile in my pickup and go skinny dipping down at the creek.
Southern American English developed over hundreds of years, well, at least a couple of hundred. The expansion of cities, the immigration and regional factors all contributed. You know, the South is huge.
It's not just big, it's huge!
And we can expect people to sound different depending on the region. However, there are some characteristics that immediately stand out. One is called the Southern drawl, where the vowel is split into two syllables, lengthening them.
Now, because I'd been a football star and a war hero and national celebrity and a shrimping boat captain, and a college graduate, the City Falls of Greenbow, Alabama, decided to get together and offered me a fine job.
The I often gets shortened though, especially in the words like my or hi.
Well, you're in the heart of the Bible Belt. We believe in family. We believe in Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
There are also differences in the word stress, which always comes with accent differences.
Now, bright boy, I will admit you are pretty clever.
Like even in Polish, it changes, and my word stress is different to my wife's, who's from the north part of Poland, to my family from the south. So I'm Southern Polish, like Cowboys.
I'm gonna bleed you, boy.
But going back to our query, history versus Hollywood, how did they actually sound in the past? You know, the cowboys, the westerners, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
Well, we don't have actual Old West recordings, but as we played before, there are some late 19th century clips that we can listen to.
Well, that's been called to my attention lately by modern pictures that people have sent me from the Conservation Society.
Val Kilmer said that he tried to learn how to speak the Old West and got recordings from his dialect coach to imitate.
I called him up, I said, I need a dialect of a Southern aristocrat that's, it's dead because they all died in the Civil War. He goes, I got it.
And we can listen to that in the 1993 movie Tombstone.
I suppose I'm deranged, but I guess I'll just have to call.
But the 19th century list shows that there were people from all over America, Europe, and other parts of the world. So it's not like there was one or two unified accents, mostly what movies make us to believe.
I've been playing cards a long time, and I would never have bet on that start. Where'd you learn to shoot? Your wife?
The fact is that probably very few of the Westerners in the 1800s sounded and looked like the typical old-school cowboy from the movies. Although, to be fair, even though they promote the American cowboy tropes, the stories also show that the Old West was more diverse than we may think.
What you think, Big Word? Nah, you wouldn't do that. See, now we'll have to put a bullet in his cranium.
You know, the look, the accent, and the stories movies promote may often appear harmless. They're just movies, right?
Let's go, boys.
Dynamite.
I always been lucky with one-eyed jacks.
But we all know the importance storytelling has on our culture, and it's always good to aim for a balance between fiction and truth. Thanks for watching.
Excuse me while I whip this out.